Welcome to the Tits Up podcast with Coley Arnold, the unapologetic space for women in the thick of it. You know, the messy middle where you're too far in to quit, but the finish line feels like a mirage. Where the pressure is high, the stakes are real, and every win feels hard-earned. This isn't a highlight reel. This is the unfiltered truth about building a business, holding your life together, and finding your fire when it would be easier to burn it all down. If you're tired of fake perfection and ready for the real, raw conversations that make you feel seen and lit up, then grab your coffee, your courage, and let's do this. Shoulders back, head high, tits up, girlfriend. What if the problem isn't you? What if it's misalignment, not burnout, that's actually slowing you down? Today on the podcast, we are talking all things alignment and how vital it is to be able to recognize the difference between burnout and misalignment. Thanks for tuning in. I remember waking up one day and looking around and going, my life on paper seems perfect. Why am I so empty inside? It was 2020. We had built this building. We had a $3 million project that we endeavored to break ground on. We remodeled a building in Arcadia. We had built this neighborhood community space that was beautiful. We were so proud of it. It was February 2020. I woke up, I think it was actually Valentine's Day morning, and I started getting ready to go. This was pre-COVID. And we had just opened our doors at the Vintage Arcadia. I was getting ready. We were going to do a big photo shoot. We had a big party. It was kind of our grand opening party. And I remember getting dressed and just tears were rolling down my cheeks. And I stopped and I was like, gosh, we've worked for 4 years for this project. This should be a moment where I am so excited to show up to this beautiful space that I helped build, that I put my heart and soul and blood, sweat, and tears into. Why am I feeling so sad? And my kids were getting ready. My husband was going to take my kids. My son had a football game, and I was missing the football game. And I kept trying to tell myself, like, this is not a big deal. Like, missing one game, you're always there. You're a very present mom. Why is this such a big deal for you? And I remember not being able to stop the tears. In fact, I showed up at the building. Everyone was there to support us, our friends, our family. It was just full of joy. The neighborhood really, really took to this concept and really supported us. So the outpouring was incredible. And we were posing for a picture by our front door. I'll never forget this. I have the picture kind of bookmarked in my phone because during the picture, I could not stop my tears from falling down my cheeks. And I worked all day. It was like a 13-hour day that day. We had a big party. It was Valentine's Day. I was away from my family. I was away from my husband on a day that I actually don't even like that holiday. I think it's a shitty made up holiday. But I felt like the fact that I couldn't be there, even if I wanted to, was just eating me alive. And so I went home and I really reflected, like, why am I so upset? Why am I so sad on this day that should be the most exciting, joyous day of one of the things of my life? And I couldn't wrap my head around it. But I remember just feeling so empty, and I remember standing there just not being able to stop the tears from flowing out of my face, out of my eyes. And it was the moment I realized that I was way out of whack on my alignment. I was not where I thought I'd be, even though on paper everything looked amazing. It was exactly what we had talked about doing for years and years and years. It was something that it was on the list of, like, these are the things that you should do for that next level of success. And I don't think I even really understood it until months, maybe even years later. But in that moment, I knew something was wrong. Now, obviously, fast forward 6 weeks later, global pandemic. This was not on our list of things that could go wrong in our business plan. Everything shut down. We were an event-based business. We were a restaurant. We were a store. Like, everything came to a halt, not including our other businesses that also had to go completely off-grid. And we went into hustle mode. So as a firstborn daughter, high achieving female founder, I put my head down and we just worked. I worked like a dog. We showed up, we pivoted, we put things online, we did to-go orders. We just kind of went into motion. And I remember this like season of life where it was probably 6 to 8 months where I didn't actually feel like I was present inside my body. It was just this mode switched on, the world shut down. I had to keep my businesses alive. And I just went into go mode. And so I just felt like I was completely like almost like an out of body experience where you just had to get to the other side. There was so much unknown with the world. There was so much unknown with our business, but all I knew is I couldn't not have an income. And so we just kept pushing. We kept pushing. We kept pushing. We kept pushing. We kept showing up. And it was really just this out of body experience for 6 to 8 months of hustle. Like we just like nose to the grindstone. We just worked our asses off to survive. And I remember a day, this was a couple years later, we survived. Somehow we made it work. We survived. And not only were we surviving, we were thriving. And everything was stacked against us. The odds were against us. But somehow we made it out alive. And I remember being so exhausted from just the mental strain on those months, year, through COVID, trying to keep my business alive, that I just almost was just like a shell of a human. Like I was walking around, I was present physically, but I was not present mentally and emotionally. I was just the shell of a human walking around trying to make sure my kids didn't feel neglected, trying to make sure my businesses survived, and not really sure what the hell was happening to me. But I just felt like I was kind of like a robot, trying to keep these businesses alive. And I remember a moment where I was sitting there at the table at our building and just going, this isn't right. This isn't called like lighting my soul on fire. I remember I had built the Founderess, which was our community of female founders. And every time I thought about it or started doing something for it, like my soul lit on fire. And I loved even the things that I didn't really love doing about like within my business. I felt the passion and the drive and the mission of this business so deeply that I was excited to be working on things, even if I didn't love it. And this project, this building felt like I loved the outward praise and excitement of this building. I felt like we built something really cool for the neighborhood. The neighborhood really rallied, behind us and supported us. And it was a beautiful feeling and it looked great on paper, but gosh, it did not feel aligned. And it was a really hard, like, awakening moment to say that out loud and admit it, because this was a huge project. This was not like some side hustle that we kind of worked on for a little while. This was a 4-year process, millions of dollars poured into it, all of our time, all of our energy. But I think that period of COVID where we just kind of had that out of body experience and that grind, I think we were so exhausted by the end of it. It took us a really long time to kind of recalibrate and realize like, this isn't what we wanted. And gosh, that's a really hard pill to swallow after you do all that work and spend all that money. But my partners and I think, and I don't want to speak for them, but I think we were all kind of looking around going, this isn't what we had hoped, that even though it was exactly, it went the way we wanted it to, and it was a great outcome, but it didn't fulfill us the way I think thought that it would. And I know, speaking for me, I just felt this emptiness and this almost resentment of like, when I had to show up and be in the space, I kind of resented it. And I thought it was just because I was exhausted. I thought I was burned out. I thought it was just because of COVID. Like I had all these things to blame, and I was like, maybe we just need to lean in harder. Maybe we need to open another one and it'll excite us again. Maybe we just need to keep pushing through this feeling, and it's got to get better because everything looks right. We're doing great. It looks great on the outside. Like we're doing it right. So why is this feeling so empty? I'll never forget that moment, but it took a really long time to be able to say that out loud and realize that it wasn't just burnout, but it was actually misalignment. We often, as female founders, there's a list of things that we should do. We feel like we should be showing up for other people. We should be doing XYZ on our list. We should be doing it this way because this is how it's done. And there's so many lists of shoulds. And I think this project for us was kind of a list of shoulds. Like, it made sense. It was exciting. It went with our vision for our businesses. Like, it was building community. Everything made sense. And so when you look at those things, you're like, oh yeah, that works. That's a good idea. Let's do it. It felt aligned and it looked aligned. But when we actually got there on the other end, it felt empty. And again, it was so hard to admit that because everything looked right. And so you start questioning, at least I started questioning, like, what's wrong with me? Why am I feeling this way? Snap out of it, Coley. You should be so grateful that this is coming to fruition, that your vision is coming and serving other people. And it was a service to other people. But I couldn't shake this feeling. And oftentimes we have this pressure to perform, scale, or keep up when maybe that's not where we're meant to be. So what does alignment really mean? Alignment is when your values, vision, and actions are in sync. You're not forcing it, but you're following it with clarity. And I will say it felt like that in the beginning when we were building. But I think if I'm really, really honest with myself, I feel like there was a little voice that was kind of sitting here the whole time going, is this it? But what I chalked it up to was, I'm like, this is new. This is scary because it's a big project. It's something I haven't ever done before. And so I chalked it up to, you're just having doubts. Keep pushing forward. Keep pushing forward. Misalignment and versus burnout. And here's how to tell the difference. Misalignment feels like you're doing things that quote unquote work, but maybe doesn't feel right. You procrastinate not because you're tired, but because something feels off. Have you ever felt that way? Where you're like, I know I need to do this. I know I should do this, but I can't quite find that motivation. You have the energy, but you feel like you have no direction. You're building something, but you're not exactly sure where your energy should go. Burnout feels like this. You're doing everything, but you feel depleted, resentful, and foggy. You procrastinate because you're too exhausted to care, which for sure I felt that as building the things, especially during COVID and pivoting. You have direction, but no energy to move forward. So it's not perfection, it's presence. Alignment means showing up as you, not who you think you should be. And this is a hard one, I think, for women especially. I think there is a narrative out there that as women, we need to show up a certain way. We need to be super confident. We can't be vulnerable. We can't feel too much. We can't be too emotional. There's guidelines per se that our society kind of lays out there for us that says you shouldn't show up this way, or you should be this way. You should look this way. And so we oftentimes put on this mask of, and oftentimes we don't realize it. I think we do it because we're like, oh, the feelings I'm feeling are something different. Like, we label them with a different feeling. And we try to just push through because we feel, maybe we question ourselves. Like, well, maybe this is just new and it's hard and I just need to keep going. And don't get me wrong, because there are feelings like that. When you are going from one level to the next and you're expanding, there are times where you have self-doubt that creeps in. You have those limiting beliefs. You have those feelings. But you also will have that passion and that ignited drive within to keep going. And so there's just very, very slight things that differentiate that burnout and that misalignment. So why alignment changes everything. So aligned businesses scale faster because they're rooted in clarity and conviction, not hustle and guessing. Now, when you start a business, there's a lot of guessing, right? You're trying to do everything right. But that guessing is not the gut guessing. It's not like, ooh, is this something I should be doing? It's like, okay, I'm guessing on which spreadsheet I'm using to, file my taxes or whatever. The guessing is a little bit different. So again, it's so hard because these are so slight differences. But you're rooted in clarity and conviction about where you need to be, not necessarily the exact task. You attract your dream clients when you're leading with truth instead of trend chasing. There's so many things out there, especially on social media. You should do this. You should be dancing. You should be singing. You should be doing whatever. But if you don't stay true to who you are and show up with that truth and conviction, then you're not aligned and you're chasing trends and you're going back and forth and you're not actually building anything. You are just so distracted. The second that you stop second guessing everything because you no longer are chasing someone else's playbook, but you're writing your own. This is so important. When you feel completely in alignment, there's a different confidence. There's a different way of showing up. Even if you're unsure of what comes next or that next step, there's this confidence and knowing that you're on the right path. How to return to alignment. Okay, so if you are feeling like you are out of alignment, and again, this is really, really hard to recognize in the moment. A lot of times my most misaligned moments, I didn't realize until days, weeks, months, years later. And so don't beat yourself up on this, but there's tricks and tools that you can learn to realign yourself in the moment that don't take you completely off track. So get quiet and ask the hard questions. I wish I would have done this to myself and been really, really honest with myself, because once I sat down and realized how empty I felt in this project, I realized I didn't ask myself if I really wanted to do this. I went along with it. I was excited. I put all of my energy and time into it. And I really, in my head, thought that this was the path for us. And I didn't doubt it. But when I got still and I really was in tune with my heart and my gut, I realized that I didn't want to be tied to a store that required taking my time away from my family. And that was the big aha for me, was that I never really got still and quiet and asked if this is something that I really, really want to pursue. It was, this is a really good idea and we definitely should do this. And it was all in my head. Does this version of success still feel like mine or someone else's? It's a very important question to ask yourself. Am I tired because I'm overextended or because I'm building the wrong thing? And you might have to ask yourself that 100 times to really get to that real answer. But staying in tune with your heart, head, and gut all together is going to be how you are able to answer these questions. Let go of what's not working, even if it should. So a lot of times again, we lean on that should. Well, we should be doing this. It should look like this certain way. But we have to let go of what's not feeling super aligned in our souls. So stop wearing strategies that don't fit, right? We try different things. It's okay to try things and pivot. In fact, it's highly encouraged. I don't want you to just stick to one thing and doing it over and over and over again and then find out later it doesn't work. Like, try things. But be really quick to realize that those are not feeling aligned and we're going to let go of them. Even if everyone else says, oh no, you should totally keep going. That's a great idea. If it's not feeling aligned, learn to let go fast. Surround yourself with aligned women. This is probably the most important. We've been talking about community a lot and those connections and relationships with other women building. And when you surround yourself with aligned women, they act as a mirror, a compass, and a catalyst for you. And if you are like, yes women, like, yes, just trying to like pump you up and excite you, I would really reflect on that. And where are the women who are holding you accountable? Where are the women who are asking you the hard questions and making you think about what are you aligned? Is this something that really is truly something that you are made to do? That community and really that accountability is so important. So are you surrounding yourself with aligned women? At the Foundress, this isn't just a community. It is a group of women who will collectively hold you accountable. And, I'm hoping that I can be that person for you. If you haven't found your community yet, that maybe you're listening to this and going, gosh, I have not asked myself that question. I haven't asked the question of, does this vision still feel like mine, or is it someone else's? And oftentimes it takes time, and we can't beat ourselves up. We have to give ourselves so much grace because, like I said earlier, sometimes it takes days, weeks, months, years to realize that this isn't an alignment. And if we beat ourselves up and go into the shame cycle, we're just furthering the process of getting out of there and realigning ourselves. So the faster we can ask questions and be brutally honest with ourselves, and learning how to do that is a skill. This is not something that I learned early on. And I think that's why it took me so long to realize that I was out of alignment. But diving into that work, therapy, business coach, mentoring is huge. If you're not doing that personal development and that hard work of learning exactly who you are, how do you react to situations, how to know when you're misaligned. If you're not doing that work, it's going to take so much longer. I know you've heard that. We've talked about this before. I think if the plane is 1 degree off, you're going to end up in a completely different country because it just takes that 1 degree off that keeps going and it spreads out. So you're so far away from where your original goal was or your vision. And so you have to learn how to stop and ask yourself questions. So I've practiced this for the last couple of years, so I've gotten really good at it, that I can jump on a call with my business coach or my therapist, or I can sit there and ask myself, is this really what I want this to look like? Is this really something that in 10 years I'm going to be excited doing? Before I make any decision. And I do it even on the littlest decisions that I make in my life and my business. I go through these exercises because, again, the faster we can get back into alignment, the more we're going to stay on that straight and narrow path. And again, as high achieving women, oftentimes we don't stop and get quiet long enough to really figure out what we do feel about the situation. We think in our heads, we're in our heads and we're doers and we're accomplishers. Is that even a word? We can accomplish a lot in a short amount of time, which is a superpower. And also, if we don't learn to stop and be quiet, we can find ourselves completely off track. So I really encourage you to ask yourself those questions, get quiet, and learn to connect your mind, your heart, and your gut to make those decisions and really in alignment with your values, your goals, and your actions. What does my day look like? What does my week look like? What does my month look like? What does my year look like? And am I getting one step closer to my goal every single day? And if not, I think you need to have that quiet time and really ask yourself, what's getting in the way? What's stopping me? Because those are questions that can get you right back into alignment very quick if you are able to recognize it. Again, the faster you can do that, the faster you can get back into alignment. So again, just to recap, I want to reiterate this because I think it's so important. So misalignment, you're doing things that work, but they don't feel right. You procrastinate not because you're tired, but because something feels off. There's something inside that's not right. You have energy and passion, but no direction. You kind of feel a little lost and wandering. Burnout feels like you're doing everything, but you feel depleted, resentful, and foggy. You procrastinate because you're too exhausted to care. You have direction, but no energy to move forward. It's not perfection, it's presence. So alignment gets you back to that presence. It helps you show up as yourself and not who you think you should be. I just want to encourage you today, if you're feeling like that, you're not alone. Give yourself lots of grace. Find an accountability partner who can bring you back to that presence. Get quiet, ask yourself questions, and really reflect on what am I doing today that's making me one step closer to my goal? And if it's nothing, let's figure out how to get back there. I encourage you to lean in. This is hard work. It's not going to be something that comes easy. It's going to bring up a lot of emotions. It's going to bring up questions. It's going to bring up limiting beliefs in your soul. But those things, if you can lean in and push through, those are the things that are going to get you right back into alignment. So I hope this was encouraging to you. I also want to invite you, because of this work that I've been doing, I think it's so important. And I think every single woman building something big and impactful needs to be in a room like this retreat that I'm putting on with my business coach. So my business coach and I have done this deep work on alignment for the last year and a half, 2 years. And it has really changed the way I make decisions, how I show up in my business, the clarity that I get out of these decisions, or really making decisions out of that clarity. And we decided to put our heads together and create this space where women can come together, learn the tools, how to identify, how to pull out of that misalignment, and then having tools in your back pocket that you can lean on, whether it's a quick decision that you have to make in your life or your business, or it's a long-term goal that you're trying to plan out. Having tools in your back pocket to be able to do that will keep you on track and keep you in alignment. And again, this is not something that we arrive to. We're not all of a sudden in alignment, and then the rest of our lives we're flocking in the forest with alignment. That's not how this works. But when we have the tools and the resources, we can easily correct along the way. We course correct and we get back on that path that we're meant to be on. And it is something that the faster you course correct, the faster that you are back in alignment, the more the clarity comes. This is your invitation. If you are feeling called, if you are feeling like you are out of alignment and you're not exactly sure how to get back, I would love to help you. I would love to have you come into the space in this retreat. We are hosting it in Phoenix, Arizona. It's actually in Paradise Valley at Hermosa Inn, and it is October 20th through the 22nd. This is going to be a beautiful space for women who are really wanting to make an impact in the world with their business, with their life, with their families, and really just helping you get back on track and alignment and giving you the tools so that you can use them for the rest of your life to get back into alignment and to course correct. I would love to see you there. Thank you for listening to this episode. This is a very important episode, something that has really changed my life, and these tools and resources that I've learned along the way with my business coach are really something that I use every single day to make sure the things that I do, the yeses that I say in my life and my business, are true soul-giving yeses that keep me on that aligned path, that get me to the place where I am living my vision and my dreams every day. Thanks for listening to today's episode. If this spoke to you, share it with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a conversation. You've got this. Stay clear, stay grounded, and stay true to what you're building. Until next time, tits up.